back with another awesome video. We're gonna go for a little walk on the beach, and we're gonna talk about gold. You like gold? Just gonna get my device working here so I don't make you guys sick. All right. Let's see if we can get this to work here. Nope. Just need to go this way. All right, I got to do it from the app. There we go. Okay, give me a second here as I adjust my camera. So this will work a little bit better for us. Trying to get it straight for you guys. There we go. All right. Now we can walk along the beach here. So it's a beautiful day. I don't know about you guys. Some of you might have snow right now. It is 60 degrees here in Southern California. Looking pretty good. We're going for a little walk. We're going to talk here. Hopefully the internet connection will stay pretty good. It's looking good at the moment. But I don't know if you guys saw on the news or not, but U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent came out and said that the U.S. has done an audit last year. I think it was March that he mentioned. And all the gold's there, so we don't have anything to worry about, guys. All the gold's in Fort Knox. I think he probably means other facilities as well. But it's there. I guess we don't need to worry about anything if all the gold's there. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear if you guys believe that, or if you think there's issues with that too. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that as well. All right, let's see here. I got to get the chat to work. I don't know why the chat's not working. Let's see here. They've changed this app on me a little bit. Dang. Well, try putting something in the chat. I want to see if it comes up. So it's nice outside here, 60 degrees in Southern California. There we go. All right. And we got some surfers out here. So let's go take a look at the surfers. I need to get out there and do some more surfing. I've been too busy with work and waking people up to the real value of gold and silver that I haven't gotten myself out to get as much exercise as I should and have some fun out here. But we're gonna film a couple guys out here for you guys real quick. So I want to hear some questions from you guys on either the video we did last night or just gold and silver in general. Are you guys concerned about Fort Knox at all? There's a lifeguard. You guys concerned about revaluation of gold? Do you think it's something that we should do, something that's kind of harmful for us? Is it going to make the price of gold and silver go up or down? You know, what do you guys think is going to happen? And while you write those down there, those questions, and maybe even give some of your answers, we'll check out some of the surfers here real quick. So I got to tell you, it's be cold if you go surfing this time of year. Everybody's in a full wetsuit. They're in 3-2s to thicker suits. And some of these guys out here will actually have hoodies on their head because the water's just freezing. It's in the 50s, kind of the mid-50s right now. It'll start warming up a little bit, but we got some guys surfing over here. A lot of the kids are out right now, just coming back after school. It's almost 5 o'clock here. Anyway, there's some fun surfers. So here's my beach. I love to come down here and walk as much as I can, get some exercise, and that's our pier over here. So if any of you guys ever want to come down and have a chat with Surfer, we'll go over to have some fish here at the fish house. I might even go grab something real quick here too. I'm a little bit hungry. All right, so I want to see your comments real quick here. All right, so we've got, I believe the gold is there from Donnell Jackson, but not in its entirety. We've got silver struck. All the gold is there. How about some proof pictures, bricks on the scale, that sort of thing? I agree with that. Stephen Foster says, howdy. Will that we had on here the other day for Laudner, or Louder, I think is how he was telling me to say it last night. Welcome back. And we've got Frostbite on here too. We had a good show last night, guys. And yeah, the sun is going to go down. It's going to go down pretty soon over here, and it's going to come back up, guys. And if it doesn't, well, then we have something else to worry about. All right, we've got. All right, let's see what else we got in here. So, Oakside Belgian Company. I don't even know how to say the name exactly there. I have dreams. I write them down and I speak them aloud and share them with people, and they come true. And when I tell you that gold will be valued at $3,600 and silver will be at $100, you will have a good day, guys. All right. If gold and silver is revalued and silver goes like to $200 an ounce, what will the $200 look like with paper fiat? So we'll talk about that too. All right. I'm going to put my glasses on so I'm not blind here, guys. Okay. So we'll go for a little walk here. This is kind of fun. I haven't been out here for a while. It's been pretty cold and kind of wet recently. And then for a long time, we had all the fires here in LA. We actually didn't have any water for a long time. So let me address a couple things that I think are interesting that come up a lot when we're talking about gold and silver. You know, you hear people talk about a revaluation of gold. Right now, it's valued at $42.22, and it actually goes 2 more decimal points. But $42 is good enough to kind of talk about it for the real purposes that we need to discuss. That's the last time we actually looked at gold and tried to fix a value to it. Interestingly enough, our gold coins here in the US have $50 marked on them. But that's still not even what the Treasury values it at. That's kind of bizarre, I think. The other issue we run into is gold is now trading pretty close to $3,000 an ounce. And if you want to go buy a new gold ounce right now, you're going to be paying about $3,050. That is way more than $42. So essentially, we're just not even acknowledging the value of what we have stored. So what happens if we do revalue that? What happens if, let's say tomorrow, President Trump announces that, or it'll probably be Scott Bessent comes out and says, hey, as the Treasury Secretary, we're going to revalue gold to $3,000 an ounce. What would that do? I would argue that it doesn't do anything right off the bat. You know, it does change it on the books, so we basically kind of invent money, so to speak, except that the money's already there and it already has that value. But you'd essentially see the value of the gold go up by about $800 billion or so. And that would be interesting. Now, the next step is, you know, we've heard from Scott Bessent that they want to monetize the assets that we have in the US, so that would be the gold. We could also monetize assets or commodities that are in the ground still, so gold, silver, other mining, you know, minerals we would mine, as well as oil, things like that. But if we don't sell the gold, it really doesn't cause any inflation. It's just on paper, guys, for the most part. However, if we go and print another $800 billion, then essentially you are going to be causing a little bit of inflation there. So, but it's not going to be enough, especially compared to all the trillions of dollars we've been printing. It's not really going to cause a lot of inflation. So I don't foresee that you would see a bunch of inflation come into play. Psychologically, though, for people, I do think what we might see is a situation where there's a run on the gold. People run out to go and buy it real quick because now a revaluation has happened. People may believe that another revaluation is going to happen down the road. They want to get it before the price goes even higher. So I don't think you would see that. I think it would also bring a lot of attention to gold to a lot of people that don't think about it right now. You know, the stat that we stackers like to put out there is only 1% of the country stacks gold and silver. Could be higher than that, but I think it is pretty low, a low percentage. And so when we see that, we're really dealing with a situation where there's just not a lot of awareness out there yet. All right, let's see what you guys have to say here real quick. We could have hyperinflation. I'll explain that in a second too, at least my thoughts on it. Annie Oakley, where are you? It's only 6 degrees out. Feels like -8. That's pretty cold. Donald Jackson, if gold and silver is revalued and silver goes like, oh, we hit that earlier. Okay, so we'll keep going on that. We have plenty of water right next to me here. You can't drink it. And even if you filter it, I don't know if you want to drink it. I'm sure there's some radioactive stuff in there from Fukushima in Japan. So I think you're gonna have issues with that. If you guys haven't done so, hit the thumbs up. On this format, you just double tap the screen and it'll go ahead and give you a thumbs up for that. But I would argue that if it goes just to $3,000, I don't think it's going to be anything that's crazy as far as inflation or having other things go up. They could go higher. They could revalue it to $5,000. They could go to $10,000. If they want to burn off all of the debt, they would need to go somewhere around $40,000, $50,000 as far as the $36 trillion in debt. And if you want to take care of Social Security while you're at it and all of the other IOUs, I think Andy Scheckman mentioned 142,000 per ounce of gold to get there. All of those things can happen. It's all possible. The larger that number, the more likely we are to have inflation because there's a higher probability that we're going to print money along with the revaluation. And if we do that, I guarantee you they're doing it to burn off the debt. And so they're basically going to hyperinflate everything and make it so they can just give worthless dollars to all the debtors. Just know that's a good way to get yourself into a pretty nasty war. Financially, kinetically, with weapons, and trade wars, all kinds of stuff would come out of that. It could get pretty ugly. So, just be aware that those kind of things can happen. Don't worry about it. Don't go to sleep freaking out over it. Don't go panic buying right now. But just know some of those things can happen. So what do? Get some gold and silver. I can't give you guys financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would recommend, looking at a decent percentage of your net worth and putting that into gold and silver. And definitely what you have liquid that you're investing. So if we just look at net worth, for me, I like to have a minimum of at least 5% in precious metals for my net worth. I'm in California, so my net worth is going to be pretty heavy in the house if you own here because the houses are expensive. And the good news here, guys, I actually have a signal down here. This is the first time I've had a signal. So they must have put a AT&T cell tower down here. We're gonna go down to the end of the pier and see if we can get a better signal too, if it still works down there. So if they do go to $50,000, to $100,000, to $142,000 an ounce, they most likely will print more money and we're gonna see hyperinflation. So how do you play these games? How do you get ready for it? First, you get gold and silver, and then when you see things like this happening, you start to plan around it. And what do I mean by that? I can tell you that if I see gold get revalued, I'm going to be watching it very closely. I will be increasing the prices I sell my metals on my eBay store. And one of the reasons for that is I don't know what's going to happen to the gold price, and I want to hedge myself a little bit because I don't have to sell what's on there. And I don't want to get stuck selling and having the price jump on me significantly. If I hear of a large revaluation above 3,000, I'm going to be watching it very closely. And if I can, I will probably buy some more metals just in case. Now, I had someone else ask last night on comments, what happens if the gold is not in Fort Knox? And this was also on X. If the gold's not in Fort Knox, if it's not in our other repositories, or depositories, I should say, what happens? What do you guys think? Do you think the gold goes down to zero? That was some crypto guy on X was saying that if there's no gold in Fort Knox, which there for sure is no gold, that's what he said, then it's going to take physical price of gold down to zero, which is just someone trolling and being dumb. I actually think the gold would go way higher if we find out the numbers aren't there. But if you saw the thumbnail on here, Scott Bessent came out and said they've audited it last year. Trust me. Do you trust him? You just take his word that the gold is there, but he said the gold's there. I've also had another private group with another stacking channel that you guys probably know well, but I'll keep the name off. I was in a private group with them, and one of the guys there said he's been in Fort Knox. He's been inside the facility, and he has seen that the gold is there. Now, he didn't audit it, so we're just going off of his vision, but he said it looked like all the gold was there. He didn't think there was any issue with it being gone. So, you know, I know there's a quote from, or not, it's actually not a quote, it's a video from Donald Trump, 2016, I think, maybe before he was running for president, or maybe after he started running, and he says the gold's not there, and he kind of talked like it was a matter of fact, like he just knew it. I don't know if he actually knew that at the time, but I'm guessing he knows now. And I'm guessing that Elon Musk kind of knows now. It'd be kind of dangerous for him just to say, hey, let's go audit this without having any idea of what's in there. And this is one I think we have to be very careful with. If we go in and start auditing the vaulting facilities, how far do you go with this? Each of the bars should be serialized, and there should be a ledger somewhere that says which bars are owned by us. There should be a way to be able to determine if we've lent those bars out or if they're encumbered. And we should also know that if our bars have physically moved somewhere else, and then we're owed those. So there's a lot of that stuff that's kind of interesting. All right. So Craig says, I think that if gold is not in any federal vault and it's in a private off-books depository, on one hand, I can see the value of gold going up, but the U.S. buy power is weak, yes, for sure. Silverstruck says, no gold in Knox. I think gold spikes, I agree. Steven just got the same DJI mic. So hopefully it sounds okay, guys. I had to do a factory reset. I kind of messed up the settings on it last month. And I'm in some heavy wind here. So hopefully you guys can hear it okay. Okay, we got a seagull over here. You guys want to see a seagull? There's a seagull. So fun fact, but scary as heck, is at this pier here, it's a fishing pier. So you can see back on the city there. Down there is, you're getting down towards Camp Pendleton in San Diego. Catalina is right out by the sun just to the right, but it's too hazy, you can't see it. That's Dana Point out there. Anyway, we had 20 great white sharks circling this pier a few years back, and they pulled everybody out of the water. That's kind of freaky. You're always surfing with great white sharks when you're out here. Their nursery is in a marina right over here. And so the babies, which are about 14 feet long, which is still pretty long, they're looking down for stingrays. They're not looking for people. Once you get up to the Bay Area where you got the large adults up there, those are looking for seals. And if you look like a seal in your wetsuit, that's not good. They might get you. They don't like you. You're too crunchy, but they can't get you out of their mouth. Their mouth's not made that way. So they do a tremendous amount of damage. So when you go surfing out here, you just don't even think about that. You don't worry about it. We've only had one shark attack here in the last, I think, 20 or 30 years here. And it was a lady a few years back that was playing in the surf, chasing a seal, wearing diving fins. So she looked like a seal, can't blame the shark. All right, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker, welcome. 500 ounces in a Tomahawk 2, yes. That's what Andy's told us, at least. So we have heard that. I sound clear, okay, good. So if there's no gold in the depositories, in the vaults, if we've sold it all and gotten rid of it, yeah, the dollar's gonna crash, guys. It's gonna be really ugly. But I don't know how you would even prove that there is nothing there, right? We're gonna have to have someone go do a full audit. You're gonna have to have some of the accounting firms come in and do it. It's gonna take a long time because you got a lot of bars to go through. And then you're gonna run into a situation where people still have to believe it. So maybe you have to video the whole thing. Well, if we do that, we can then claim that we have X amount of gold and it's there. And then do we force China and Russia to do the same thing to prove what they have? So I imagine we might get into a little bit of a Cold War on gold, how much gold each country has. Good news is we have the global reserve currency. So most every country holds our currency in reserve. They're doing it less and less each year. And they do still hold a bunch of our bonds. So if we can produce that we do have the gold in a believable fashion, I do think we're going to be able to defend ourselves from attacks that the BRICS might do. If we can't produce it, if we can't prove it, then I think we could have some issues. So that's something you got to kind of watch for. Anyway, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about silver too. A lot of people are talking about silver. We've got a massive over 40-year long cup and handle for it. You know, personally, I'm about 50 ounces of silver to every 1 ounce of gold. And I'm adding more silver this year than I am gold. Gold's become more expensive. So I'm kind of creeping up on it, but I'm looking to increase the percentage of silver I have to gold. That's me personally. I think there's more upside to it than just in gold, but I also know that it's a metal that is highly manipulated, the most manipulated metal out there, so it takes a long time. It's going to be kind of harder to, it's harder to wait for it to move, is the reality. But it has so much potential, guys. I mean, just the gold to silver ratio alone, you know, we can get gold up to about $70 without anything changing in the market except that the ratio changes. So I do think we are going to see triple-digit silver in this decade, depending on what happens this year with all the Doge stuff and the vaults and everything. We could potentially see triple-digit this year. I know that's not what most people are talking about, and it's not my prediction for the year, but don't rule it out. It is possible. So we got 25 likes. Thanks, guys. All right, I'm going to stop here for a second, see your comments. We got Tiger in here. How's it going? Yeah, he's trying to get me to sing some Beach Boy songs. I don't think so. I'd sing very well. Am I breaking up? Can you guys hear me okay now? Hopefully that's a little bit better. Stockton, California. Boy, you guys had a lot of action during 2008 and also back in, I think it was 2003 with the real estate markets. It's kind of the epicenter of where the boom in the real estate market started and kind of where it ended. All right, you guys can hear me. That's good. So a couple of things I'm going to point out to you guys if you're ever out here. So this is the Fisherman's Restaurant here. It's got decent food. You're going to pay a little bit because of the view, but it's right here on the beach, which is pretty fun. And you can watch the waves. If we get a big storm in, you'll get a storm that comes in and the waves are crashing right below where the people are sitting. And then they have an oyster bar here. So that's kind of fun. But this is the first beach in Southern California to basically start getting repaired. So we've been bringing in a ton of sand. You can see the different levels of sand here, and you might not be able to see it, but I think you can. This is more tan, and this is much wider up here. They've brought a lot of sand in here, and they're going to be working on some of the sand dunes. I'm still waiting to see what they're going to do, but they're supposed to do a little bit more like what's in North and South Carolina, where you end up with some plants that are kind of put into the sand. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but the idea is to try to reclaim it. There's always a lot of erosion, but this is exactly how the beach looked when I was a kid. It hasn't gone up any higher. You get storms and the sand goes out. And part of it is they put a marina way down here, out there. And when you put a marina in, you mess up the entire shoreline. It just changes how everything works.